Hey, yo, it's your boy, man, Ced B. We got Angel in the building. Listen, this is Ced Talk Podcast, baby. And we're back with another one. But look, we're going to switch it up just a little bit. First of all, for those of you that have been tuning in, thank you, right? Appreciate you so much. But we're going to switch gears, right? It's April. It's Financial Literacy Month. And so we're going to break down our episodes. Now we're going to actually create a series, and that way all of our episodes is going to be some kind of finance, right? Financial education, whether if we are breaking down the 401k, how it works, how it operates, the rules, the regulations, your IRAs, you have, your index strategies, the cash value life insurance policies, all types of things. And we're going to start it with this episode here. Like I said, we got Angel B with us, you know what I'm saying? You got Ced B. We rocking, man. What's up with you, though?
Nothing.
Chilling, man. Making it happen, man. Been grinding all month. I'm trying to really be productive. I'm really about to make this thing happen. And so to start this thing off, right, this is episode 1 in our financial literacy series for you guys. We're going to just kind of tell you guys our stories, right? Tell you guys how we end up getting into the financial industry. Tell you guys, our thoughts, things like that as well. Our stories, our dreams, crusades, the whole nine. You feel me? And so getting into it, I believe it was, 2016, we had our first child. We ended up moving to Sacramento. Okay, so we moved to Sacramento, and it was cool. We had our apartment, very first apartment together, and it was kind of dope. Like the place that we were in was super nice, and we went all in too. Like as soon as we moved in, I mean, like we literally moved into an empty place. We didn't have a U-Haul or anything like that, and we bought everything new. Like let's say we moved in Friday. By Sunday or Monday, we was fully furnished.
All on credit cards.
Fully furnished, on the credit cards. Talking about, we gonna pay it back.
Right.
We gonna pay it back. So that, it was interesting. But like we did pay a lot of it back too. But it was just crazy how like literally within 3 days, we just fully furnished the whole place. From the couch to the dishes that we don't use. Like we had the little fancy dishes. We had the nice little fancy rug, the tabletop rug that the dishes go on to. Like, we decked that place out for sure. All right, 2016, boom, we had our son, CB3. And so it was crazy. What were some of your memories kind of going into that?
Having contractions in the master bedroom.
Contractions.
Didn't know what the heck.
Yeah, it was cool. We had a lot of people over.
It was a cool little spot.
We had a little fellowship, so we actually invited people over for a housewarming. This is how new it was, and so people came over. Everybody was chilling, and Angel like, "Yo, I'm having contractions. I'm trying to count and blah blah blah. All this stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, so what did that mean? Like, what are you saying?" And then she was like, "Yo, I think it's that time. We need to get to the doctors immediately." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't think you ready yet for sure." She was like, "Nah, it's that time." So like we had literally heck of people in the house. We were praying at the time too.
We were having a devotion.
We had a full blown devotion.
Yeah.
We were in a circle. All of it was probably 20 of us in the house, and so we all were holding hands, praying. And I think in the middle of us praying and singing, that's when we had to leave. We was like, "Look, it's the housewarming is good. We showed y'all where everything is. We gotta go.
Right.
Y'all can hang out, y'all can chill or whatnot. So yeah, so it was cool. We ended up going to the hospital. Boom, we had little Ced, brought him to the house, and after that, we were just trying to live the best way as first time parents and just do the right thing. We both were working full time jobs, and it was easy. We were just switching off. And then after a while, I'm trying to figure out like where did we start going downhill. So after a while,
When I told you I was pregnant with the twins.
possibly, it might have been. I think it was during that time.
Yeah, it was.
But what I'm trying to say, like deeper though, like at what point did we really started going? Did we really start going downhill, where we couldn't even afford the rent, right? Because we were both working full time.
Mm.
I was in management, so we was making good money.
I think it was the fact that like we incurred so much debt during that time, and then two, we were going for a renew on our lease during that same time, and we was like, "Sheesh, this is
Mm,
jumping up quite a bit." Like
yeah,
it wasn't just no like $200; it was going up like almost $1,000. It was like,
yeah, it was a
how's
lot.
this gonna work?
And then we didn't know either, like as far as renting, um, about every lease, like every year or whenever your lease ends and you're trying to renew, not knowing, like you say, that the bump up price,
Mm.
going into it, not really realizing that. One, two, at one point we had to take a loan out. We
Yeah,
took a loan out, um, and it was crazy
personal loan.
because we didn't know about the rent increase, and then we also did not know about interest, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we took a loan out. They paid us immediately, right? And that's the appealing thing. That's one thing we have to actually start paying attention to when it comes to finances. Like you have to pay attention to the details. If there's something that you do not understand, you actually need to ask. You need to go out and do the research,
Yeah.
figure out that answer because it was appealing to us that we were going to get the money so quickly. It was like, look, you could apply today and get the money tomorrow.
Mm.
I'm like, dang, that sounds so good. And that's what we did. And the interest rates were super high.
We did
And
not read the fine print,
yeah, it was many. And so I think our monthly, so the first 2 months we didn't have to pay the loan back. Um,
but we ended up paying anyways.
no,
Oh, we
not the
did?
first 2 months,
Oh,
not because
okay.
we were behind. We needed every penny.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think we were just kind of maxing out our credit cards, doing all of these things. But the first 2 months we didn't pay the loan. Now going into that third month, I believe it was anywhere between $500 to $800 that we were doing a month. And so we boom, paying it. And then it was like 5, 6 months down the road. And I was like, let me call just to see where we're at. Cause we've been paying this $500 or $800 every month. And I just want to see if it put a dent into the loan that we owed. And I called and they go, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, hey, I just been, I've been paying my monthly. I just wanted to see where we at right now. And he told us an amount, and it just felt like it didn't lower. Like it did not go lower than what we already were paying. I was like, yo, I've been paying for 6 months. Why did it go lower? It doesn't make sense. And apparently, interest, right? So we had a super high interest charge on that loan, and I can't remember the exact number, but it was definitely double digits, right, for sure. So it was like 12 or 14% interest that we were paying on the loan. And so if you're listening now, and you don't know what interest is. Um, what happens is, let's say if my monthly payment was $800, and that's the minimum, right? So I'm paying my $800, and then when the interest hits, right, they charge you with the interest, more than half of your 800 goes to the charge of the interest that they're charging you. And then the remainder of that money goes to your balance. Oh my goodness. And when he explained that to me, I lost it. I was just like, wow. That's insane. Like here we are thinking that this loan was gonna bring us back, but it actually made it worse for us because now we're still paying our rent. We're still paying a debt that we're behind. And then now we have another bill that we didn't realize. Like now we're paying this loan back, right? And so in the beginning, it's very important that if you feel like you need a loan, find every other option first before actually getting a loan because that's going to be another payment. Like, sure, you got your loan and you go out and pay your credit cards and stuff off, right? That's what we did. You pay all of your stuff off, at least paid it down enough, right? And then I'm like, oh snap, I paid all of this stuff off, but then 2 months later, now I got a whole nother bill again.
And then clarify what type of loan was this? Because you can go to the bank and get a loan that will add all your debt together. And then that way you're just paying
Like
one
a consolidation
yeah,
loan.
a consolidation loan.
Yeah, and they do that as well. And some they offer, I guess, like a 0%, down payment. But I don't know too much about that.
But there's different types of loans.
Yes, so this loan, I mean, obviously, I told them that we was already paying. We was getting charged 14% interest. So, I don't know the name of that loan, but that's a hell no type of loan. That's the thing with that loan. You don't want that loan. Run away from that one, cause that destroyed us. But so all in all, right? She's pregnant with the twins. We're boxing up everything and getting ready to leave. And our option at the time was I had to go back to my mom's house, and
we had to go to your mom's house.
yeah, so we all had to go to my mom's house. Excuse me, and it was crazy because at the time, it was just a lot of families in the home, at the time, like everybody walking on eggshells, who ate my cereal, I had a candy bar on a dresser, it was just a lot, like, and then you got people fighting over the dang washer and dryer. Like you go to the bathroom and pee, somebody jump into the dang dryer real quick, yeah, and it was wild, it was crazy, and it's love though, it's family love, you feel me? It's good, because I grew up where we all lived at my grandma's house at one point, like my cousins, my brother, all of us, we all were there, and when we were little and younger, we all had to like take a bath together because of the water bill. Like, we had to like make that thing stretch. So I remember those times and that was good times and it was love. But we're grown now. You feel me? We're trying to build a family. It was just different. You feel me? So
especially for me, like that was a struggling time for me as a woman having to like go to my mother-in-law's house, not only like with a kid, like it's different when you don't have kids. Like you could do whatever the heck you want. You can move in with anybody when you don't have kids. And, grateful that, she opened her home. Um, obviously it's her son, but too, like, like you're bringing another person, which, yeah, that's getting too much into it. But anyways, like having to leave my own house and bring my family to my mother-in-law's, like, I don't know, like that I always told myself like I'd never be that wife to like move into my mother-in-law's, and I'm gonna just tell y'all there is nothing wrong. Like me and my mother-in-law have a great relationship. It's not like one of those like, oh, I hate my mother-in-law. We always going at it, like, because when I tell people, they look at me all funny. They're like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Like we cool, you know." But still, it still was, regardless how good your relationship is, it still, because you notice things. You're like, dang, like, you know, can't walk around the house the way you want to walk around the house because it's not yours, Have to be mindful of like literally everything. The kids make a mess, you have to clean it up. Um, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly because yeah. So that was a tough time for the both of us, and I just feel like it was weird because so now let's put all of this together, right? So we moved into place for our very first time. We used our credit cards, right, multiple, to furnish the whole place, and within 3 days, 3 to 4 days. Okay, I mean they was doing the shipping. They like, yo, it's gonna cost extra for the shipping, and we'll put it in if you want. We like, look, fully loaded, do the whole thing. So we moved in. We maxed out our credit cards. We were just spending. And then it got to a point to where now we're behind on bills. We had to take out a loan. The loan put us further behind, and then we had to move. Now we had to move into my mom's house. She's still pregnant with twins. Okay, boom. So we're here, and so being in this situation, it was tough. One, because I thought it would get better. What I mean is, we're no longer paying rent. We're no longer, paying the other bills because we were just kind of letting them just go so we can eventually negotiate at some point. Um, and so our credit's bad, but for some reason we kept getting deeper and deeper into a hole. Like we both were still working.
Mm.
We had to commute now. We had to drive some ways to work. And I'm like, how is it still getting worse? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's not adding up. And so we really was like we're done. Like I don't know how we're gonna get out of this. This is insane. This is crazy.
We literally like created like a budget, and we were looking at everything that we were spending. Like we got to like the nitty-gritty of like how much we were spending, but it didn't matter what we did. We were still living paycheck to paycheck, which is still wild. Like I remember breaking down in the car, like we commuted into work a few times a week. And I remember breaking down in the car while I was pregnant with the twins because I was just like, how is this not getting better? Like, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel here. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck is going on?
Yeah, now that's mainly because yeah, I remember that too when you started crying, and I'm like, "You good? Like, what's wrong?" You were just like, "Man, like, how did we get here?" And that was a good question too. Like, I think that question kind of opened my eyes in a sense of like, wait, how did we get here? Like, I had to reevaluate everything, every step, every move that we made, and saw exactly how we got here. And so, you know, if you guys are listening, man, it's very important to like take your time with stuff. You get your new house,
Mm,
you get your new apartment and all that stuff. I know, don't let the excitement control your emotions. Like, yes, you're excited, but don't be hijacked by that excitement.
mm.
Like, don't let that excitement go on and be like, I'm gonna fill up everything, right? Because you're thinking new home,
Yep.
now you're thinking company. You're
Yeah.
saying, I want this to be the chill spot. I want everybody to come over here, but ASAP though. So we gotta fill this place up. We gotta do everything. Take your time, man. Slow down. You don't have to go and try to furnish everything.
Right.
It's all good. Pull out the air mattress, and just make it happen until you are able to afford it. And I believe this
With your paycheck.
exactly with your paycheck. So if you have a credit card, and you're going to use your credit card, make sure you have that amount in your bank account first. Like if you don't have the amount that you're getting ready to swipe on your credit card, don't do it because you're spending other money now. Like you're spending money that you actually don't have.
Mm.
Like people, what I found out now, just kind of learning more about financial education, financial literacy. What I'm finding out now is like the people, the smart people, the wealthy people that are using their credit cards now, they actually have the money in their bank account, but they're using the credit card for points. They're using the credit card to go towards their free hotels, their free trips, their free food at the hotels and other places. They're using their credit cards for that reason. So when they're making those purchases, guess what? They're putting all of that money that they have in the bank back on their credit card because they want to utilize the points.
Mhm.
And so that's deep. So be smart, work smarter, not harder.
Hmm.
And it's harder to come back
Yes.
while you're in debt. Like you have to pay off everything, you take a hit on your credit. So work smarter and not harder to try to get back in evil. So with all that being said, like we're in a situation where we're getting deeper and deeper in the hole, and something happens that was unbelievable. Okay. It was unbelievable. And um, Angel receives a phone call. I keep calling this guy Uncle Mike, but what's brother name?
Uncle Don.
Don. Mike sound cool.
No,
Mike
it
sound
don't.
chill. All my stories are like Uncle Mike, Uncle Mike. But so her uncle Don calls and introduce himself. Hey, how's it going? My name is Don, and I'm gonna just say Mike. I like Mike. So hey, how's it going? My name is Mike. I'm your dad's brother, and I'm calling to let you know that our sister had passed away. Okay, and just we're gonna pause there real quick, and I'm gonna let Angel speak on this whole portion. This her family, you know what I'm saying? But this is deep. This is deep, and so we're gonna pause here real quick because she did not know this side of the family.
Mm-mm.
She didn't know this side of the family at all. And so the response after Uncle Mike was like, hey, we lost our sister. It's kind of like, okay, sorry to hear that, right? Because there's no relationship. Like,
Well, it wasn't even that type of conversation. It was more of like a business conversation. He called saying like, your auntie passed, but let's get straight to business. She had X, Y, and Z set up because my father had it in place. So
it's deeper than that. So like my point is this though. The response, right? So if let's say if someone you actually knew
Mhm.
called you and says so and so passed,
Mm.
but the person you knew who passed away, you will feel some kind of way like, what?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And so the emphasis here is the fact that you didn't know this side of the family. He called, right? When somebody that you know passes away, it hurts. You'll feel some kind of way. But he obviously called to let you know more details, right? So I'm not saying like, sure, it was definitely a business, conversation and let you know what's to follow. But the point is the emphasis on like how important something can be, right? So
Mm.
so after that phone call, oh, sorry to hear about that. And then it's like, well, we're calling you because our parents, which is Angel, her sister, their grandparents, Uncle Mike is like our parents set up a trust, right? And in that trust also said, if you don't have any children, this money will go to your nieces and nephews, and they are the nieces. That's why I wanted to emphasis on that part because sometimes when you have things in place, it can go for generations to generations to generations,
Mhm.
based off of what's in place already, based off
Yeah.
of what's written, whether you know the person or you don't know the person, but someone has set something up for generations to come. And to see that play out was a game changer for me. It was an eye opener for me. But I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit. So my question to you is, during that moment, that phone call, and then saying that you guys are going to receive some money,
Mm.
where were you mentally? How did you feel?
I felt like I was getting tricked, but then too, like I knew it was real because you know me and my sisters were having a conversation afterward. Um, but almost like I felt relief. Um, after that conversation because we were struggling so bad financially. And, the twins were here, and it was just, it was a lot. There was a lot of maneuvering that had to be done with having 3 kids in car seats and all this stuff. So it was almost like a relief. And then thinking back on it, like, I was just like, man, God be showing up right on time. Like, you know how people be saying, like, it's God's timing and not your own?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that for me solidified it. And even going back to, like, my story, like, I knew throughout my entire life, I knew God was real and God was protecting me and my sisters throughout our entire life. Because if you have heard our story,
Elaborate real quick. Go ahead, go into it real quick.
what part?
Your story. So, like, some might have not heard of the story.
So, growing up, we started off living in Florida, and something happened between my mom and my dad to where she was like, "We leaving." I don't know. To this day, I still don't know, like, the details, and I really don't care to know, to be honest.
So were you in Florida with your dad at that time, or just in Florida?
What I remember is that we lived in 2 separate houses. They were like blocks away. But
okay.
Yeah, he was living in his own separate residence and we were in our own.
Okay.
But yeah, so my mom moves us to California and we have nothing. And I think we moved out there, or I think she moved us out there with the intention that she was going to stay with family. But I think her family, and I don't know if this is true or not, this is just my impression, that because she had kids, that they were like, oh, we can't take you in or whatever. But don't know if that's true. So if y'all family and y'all watching this, y'all know the reals. Sorry. But yeah, so we ended up staying for a while on Skid Row. And I don't know if you guys know this. You could look it up if you want, but Skid Row is in LA and it is like just filled with homelessness. There's shelters there, but it's not somewhere you would want your kids. There's a lot of drugs happening right in front of the street, like everything. We didn't have a car, and I really don't know what my mom was doing, but we always were like on the go during the day, and we were always walking like miles. I remember like telling my mom, I'm sick of walking or whatever. But yeah, that was our day every day.
Like, where was y'all going though when you was walking?
We would go, I don't know, some county buildings for something. It probably was the EBT office, dealing something with her visa, because my mom is from Belize, born and raised. I don't know. Could be any of those things.
And at one point, so you're walking. So at one point, you said the car caught on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Burnt up all of your pictures and all that stuff.
So, yes, we ended up being able to get a vehicle. And my mom had the great idea to drive all the way across the country from California to New York. Don't ask me why. And during that, I think we made it to Flagstaff, Arizona. Yep, Flagstaff, Arizona. Would never forget it. The van caught on fire, and that had all our personal belongings. So after that moment, like when you would go to school and have projects that was like, oh yeah, let's see pictures of you when you were a baby. Yeah, I always felt left out because I didn't have any, So yeah, all our personal belongings, literally. And I can laugh about this now, but I remember, look, my sister, look. I hope she watches this because she's gonna start busting out laughing. I remember like I ain't gonna be able to tell it. I'm gonna be
Make it
here all
happen.
day
Make it
laughing.
happen.
She left the car with one
She has to go up to what? One t-shirt?
with one shoe. It's funny you mentioned a t-shirt because that's what she was using
Yeah.
on her feet to walk. And mind you, we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't think it was until like the next night we got her some shoes.
So she left the car with one shoe on. And then she was using the shirt for a foot on the other. Okay.
Yeah.
The one without the shoe.
Oh
That's
my goodness,
funny.
that's hilarious. To this day, obviously, we still crack up about that.
That's hella funny. Damn.
Oh man.
And so, all right, so let's bring it back, right? So now they know the story. And
The gist of it.
And so just a little, snippet of the story, but like let's bring it back to the point where
Yes.
just the beauty of, right, you receiving that phone call, the importance of, yes, you didn't know this family, but because what was in writing, it still was delivered, it still was promised, it still was given. So you received funds, you received money, and that kind of opened your eyes and made you think about your past and made you think about just a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And so receiving that is crazy. And so me, I was just kind of like, man, like you think what you think you're gonna get? Remember we was talking about that for a minute. But it was a blessing as the husband, like, just being part of it, really struggling financially. And it wasn't honestly like this was so huge that it wasn't necessarily the money that opened my eyes. Like the money was a blessing, but what actually transpired was more of a blessing to me of the will and living trust. They never met their grandparents on her dad's side. Never met their cousins, auntie, uncle, right, on their dad's side. But because the grandparents had specifically put something in a trust, it was granted. Beyond, and they're already passed away, so this is still happening, and they're not even here, and that is important. That is what stuck to my mind. That is what gave me that drive to be like, we need to do something for our family. We need to have something in place that when we're not here, it's still going accordingly, right, as planned.
And the power about this too is that if you have like angry relatives that are like, oh, so and so shouldn't be in it because I don't like so and so, whatever you put in your will and trust is what's gonna be in there. Because if you dead and gone, can't nobody change it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Which I have heard was what tried to happen in our situation.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's powerful too.
That's so deep. And so what we did was we got life insurance policies, and we just wanted to make sure that everything was just good, like when we leave. But it's crazy because we thought we only got life insurance. We thought that's just what it was only. Like we got our life insurance policy, we were approved, we were young, so we got like a lot of coverage, right? To combine, right, way over $1 million coverage, and we wasn't paying that much. And over the years, just kind of receiving our monthly statements and things like that, I've never opened them. And then it took one time where I actually opened a statement, and I started looking at everything. I said, okay, yep, the fees, man, look at the charges. wow, look at the cost of the insurance. Why the heck did I open this statement? And I just kept reading. Boom. And I'm like, oh, snap. Like, this is cash accumulation. Like, what is that? Like, cash value. I'm like, what the heck is cash value? And so I called the insurance company and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I gave them my information and they were able to pull up my account. And I was like, hey, I'm looking at this statement and it looks like money that I have access to, but it says cash value. Can you explain that, please? And so they were explaining the cash value. And I was like, where is the cash coming from, though? I don't get it. I thought this was just a life insurance policy. She was explaining it was an index universal life. And so this index is actually connected to an index market. So S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones. What this means is that anytime the S&P 500 does well, performs well in the market, then my life insurance policy is credited that interest that it has earned that year. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I just asked tons and tons of questions, and it was an eye opener for me. I was telling Angel about it. I'm like, yo, this is wild. Like, no one knows about this stuff. Why? Right? And we realize it. They're not teaching it in school. Right? They're not teaching it in your homes. So where would you know this stuff from? Like, how would you even know this stuff? And so just after that, that's actually how we got into the business, into the industry, because we wanted to be the ones to explain this to others. And we already know that other people are going to say, oh, it sounds too good to be true. Nah, it's not too good to be true. It's just too good to be free, at the end of the day. But it's like, of course, it's okay to not know something, but you do have to be open-minded, right? And so I felt the same way. But what I did was I went to something that I did know. Everyone knows about the IRS. Everyone. I can say, you ever heard of an index universal life? They say, I never heard of it. I say, you ever heard of the IRS? They're like, of course, right? The IRS actually have approved tax codes. And if you look up 7702, it points directly to a cash value life insurance. I mean, it's associated only to a cash value life insurance where you now have access tax-free to that cash value that grows in your life insurance policy. And so I was like, we need to get in business for sure. And we got in business not for the death portion of it. Right? People say, oh, life insurance, it only pays out when a person dies. Nah, we got in business for the financial portion of it, because that's where a lot of people don't know about. This is where a lot of people don't know how to grow their money. This is where a lot of people don't understand why is it tax-free. This is where a lot of people don't understand, like, even if you die, how does it transfer to your beneficiary? Tax-free.
And that is the key word right there. Tax-free. And people be so caught up in that. Meanwhile, their families go to probate and they don't get probably nothing most of the times, because you have to pay for the lawyer fees. Then you have to pay for like all these other costs. By the time you go to court and settle, it's probably nothing left out of it.
Yep.
So people be caught up in the wrong things.
Yeah.
Like your mind is somewhere else. You need to reel you back in and understand that this is setting your family up for the better. Because when you're gone, they're going to be having to deal with all this extra stuff while you're gone.
Yeah.
And if you don't put stuff in place now while you're here, and that's another thing, people don't want to have the conversations while you're still alive. Everyone wants to withhold the conversation. Like, I don't want to talk about it. It makes me feel some sort of way. But these are the conversations that we have to have, and we have to have them now before it's too late.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, and this is why when people die in our family, we're so caught up in our own arguments. Oh, what would so-and-so want to do? I think her color would be X, Y, and Z. No, well, she told me a couple of years back, da da da. Now we're frictioning when we should be coming together to celebrate this person instead of fighting. And that's why, like, a majority, especially in the Black community or the community of color, we lose family members not only in death. We don't lose people only in death, but during that time, it gets so like we're bickering over the wrong things that we should have set up before dying, but we didn't. And now we're leaving it up to everybody to figure it out. But now they're fighting and causing friction, and you lose family members in that too. Family members who are alive, which is wild. It don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. And that's just from just ignorance. You know what I mean?
Yep. Here's the crazy part though. It's not like, so that's very important, as far as a legacy, protecting your generations to come, right? But it's deeper than that. Like, some people don't like talking about death and life insurance because they have to die. But my point is, if you explain the living benefit portion of it, if you explain the cash value aspect to it, if you explain your chronic illness, critical injury, terminal illness, Alzheimer's disease, like if you explain these things that, like, look, if you happen to get a heart attack, if you happen to have a stroke, if you happen to get a car accident and you're in a critical injury, like, you actually have access to the money that grows in your policy, or rather accelerated from your death benefit when these things occur in your life. And then guess what? Let's say you're able to use this life insurance plan. Some people call it a LIRP, a life insurance retirement plan. You can use this LIRP, right, in such a way to where it's like, wow, this is going to help me build that wealth while I'm alive. But then now watch this. Now it sounds better when you say, but if you happen to pass away before you receive your retirement, if you happen to pass away before you can take this money out to put on to another property, like, this money will go to your family tax free. Now that sounds better. You get what I'm saying?
That's like the cherry on top.
That's the cherry on top. And it's like, that's why we're in business. Like, we're not in business to preach to you death. That's what church, that's what we gonna preach to you in church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna preach that, look, we're all gonna die. I'm talking about church now, spiritually. I'm gonna just take a pause for financial. I'm saying you know what I'm saying? We in the word now, and we're preaching that, look, you don't want to die in your sins at the end of the day, because Jesus Christ was sent, in the form of us, a form of man. He was tempted as we are tempted today, but he sinned not, right? But he became the curse. He became the sacrifice. He was nailed to the cross. He was beaten. He was abused. He was spit on for us while we were still ungodly, while we were still in our sins. And so we're preaching life, when it comes to that, but we can't walk and be comfortable, walking around in our sins and stuff like that. I just had to bring that up because that's when we talk about death and life, and how the impact in the afterlife and things like that. But going back financially, this is important too, because we're not just talking about death and your family is going to receive. That doesn't even sound appealing. Like, I see why you're not interested in life insurance, but we got in the business to let you know about all of the benefits that are attached to your life insurance policies. And now it's even more convenient for our clients, right? We have a company that we're with, which is a technology company, and they actually have things in place where the whole process of you filling out the application, seeing your quote, getting the background, and your underwriting decision, all of that is going to be within 10 minutes. And you'll know that, and you'll be approved. They can see your medical history. They can see all that stuff, and you're approved in 10 minutes. This is helping people quicker.
This is a game changer.
It's a game changer. And if you're an agent, right, we're helping people, but you're getting paid quicker too.
Yeah.
No
more waiting 3 to 6 months, calling the company, hey, checking on this policy.
Man.
And I always wonder, like, what, like, it would suck if you have a client who's still in underwriting and God
And
forbid
then
something
pass away.
happens to them. Like, that is one terrible conversation to have with that client's family. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, you know,
Absolutely. It's insane, man. But we got to get it together. At the end of the day, this is episode 1 on our financial series. We're gonna every Monday we're gonna drop an episode regarding a financial topic, and this is so important because we just shared our story financially, and we're in a much better place financially. We got into business because we wanted to share the information and help as many as people as possible. Like our goal is to help 1 million families. But guess what? We can't do it with just us two.
right.
You get what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of people, Angel know a lot of people, but can you imagine if everybody else was willing to be on board and to share this information? Like then at that point we can reach right 1 million people. And so like we're really passionate about this, but then also we're really passionate about doing it the right way financially. Like we want to save in the right vehicles. Right. If you're listening, they have places now. I know back in the day, the CDs, um, with the banks and stuff like that, your interest rates were 0.01%. But now in some CDs, it went back up to 4, almost 5%. Get on
Which
it.
is pretty good. Yeah.
Get on it. And then you have your savings account, right, with a company, an online savings account called a 360 Performance. It's free to open, and they're giving you almost 5% in that account. It's free to open, man. And so our goal is like we want to have money in places where the interest that we earn on our money is going to allow our money to grow on its own. Grow on its own. And if what I just said didn't make sense to you, let's have a conversation because that means you don't know how the rules of money. You don't know how money grows. You don't know how money gets taxed. You don't know the compound interest, right? And so like that's very important and we can definitely educate you on that and we will be talking about that in this series. So just a quick recap, I just want to let y'all know this is episode 1 on our financial series. Okay, we're gonna be breaking down uh retirement vehicles. We're gonna be breaking down all sorts of things. You're definitely gonna see more of us. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna get it popping for sure. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited, and I feel like we need this. I feel like if you're listening, you might need this. At the same time because you know some people they do those quick little 1 minute, 2 minute social media videos. Nah, we about to dive all the way in.
Exactly.
Because it's very important, man. We grew up a way where money wasn't discussed
Right.
at our table. Sometimes you bring it up, they're upset with you. Like,
Yeah.
we don't talk about money and bills and all this stuff
Disrespectful.
when you eating. So even we never even ate at the table. I'm gonna be honest. So my mom used to cook. My brother and I, we used to come to the kitchen, prepare our plates, and then go to our rooms separately. So it's like we
That's
for
wild.
sure is not gonna talk about no financial stuff. And because Angel and I, we're gonna be the one in our family. And what I mean is, with the information, with the education, now, like my mom, she retired, but we was able to protect some of her money and stuff now. Like my pops, my mom's as far as like the life insurance policies, like they only had like 10,000 on my name, 15 on, and just now it's just a better position to where we're the one in our family to start something big. And what I mean is if one of us is gone, right, this is going to be the first time you have this generational wealth transfer. I just lost my grandfather, right, not too long ago, and this is on my side. Like I told you, on her dad's side, they had that rolling. They had stuff in place, right? But on my side of the family, I just said we lost our grandfather, right? We lost, I lost 2 aunties, some cousins. Somebody was like just recently just lost a cousin or my mom's cousin, and she said that there was a life insurance application on his desk or in his room somewhere. He never filled it out. So we got to do better for real. And we're here in our family to push everybody to be great. We're here in our family to push everybody to be better than what they was before. We're here in our family to push everybody to hit their goals. We're here in our family to push everybody to get to a place where they want to be in life and financially. Like, it's not just a financial matter. Like, we could talk about marriage, we could talk about whatever, right? We had our ups and downs, but that made us stronger. You feel me? And it's like we've been through some stuff, so it's like we're not just trying to help you financially. Like, we want to help you with your personal goals. We want to help you with your families, right? We want to help you with some of if you had advice on anything. Like, we want to be here with you with all those things, and that's what this season is gonna be about. So it's gonna be a lot of good stuff. I'm excited, and we about to be out. Anything you want to say before we shut this thing down?
See y'all next time.
Look, we out, man. This is Ced Talk Podcast, baby. Go on.